What's up, my good people? Welcome to the J&K Show. I'm your man, co-host, J-Rob, and I got my other man, K. What's good, my brother?
Yo. What's good, Plea?
Yo, I'm happy to see you, man. It's been a little minute, but we are back, and we got some hot stories going on this week, man. But you've been doing good otherwise, man? Enjoying the summer's almost here?
I don't do almost, right, man. I need the summer. I need the heat.
Right.
I hate the cold. I'm a New Yorker through and through, but I swear off New York. Every winter, every fall is getting to the spring. Although we haven't really seen the spring much. It goes from cold to a hard stop.
Yes.
To the summer. So I'm here for it. The humidity doesn't bother me, none of that stuff. So I'm ready for it, man.
Okay, we ready to rock out. Well, we got some hot stories coming up this week that we're going to discuss. And the first one I want to touch on today is a big story. There's a big trial coming up, as we all know. The Diddy trial is coming up on May 5th, right? He was just in court this past Friday. And the prosecutors, right, in the case actually offered Diddy a plea deal. They offered him a plea deal, and his attorneys flat out rejected it. Said, nah, we good. We're going to take our chances. We're going to ride this out. Now, it is so crazy because, as we know, he's facing so many different charges in this trial.
Right.
And just found out that Cassie actually will be testifying during the trial. And they are going to actually show the video, which I'm a little confused about because we know that the whole beating, the beating caught on the tape, has nothing to do with this case, right?
Right.
But they're going to go ahead and still show the tape. So she's going to testify. Some other alleged victims, I think 2 or 3 others, are going to be testifying as well. And it is just so crazy that he would now here's the thing. Yes, he was offered a plea deal. We don't know what the plea deal, really entailed, right? We don't know right. We don't know the circumstances.
Okay.
It hasn't been divulged yet, right? So the public doesn't know what it is. And it's crazy, but the charges that he's facing is just ridiculous to me, right? It's like it really doesn't make sense, because if you look at the charges that he's facing, it's facing 2 counts of sex trafficking, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, and 1 count of racketeering, right? And he, obviously it's really doom and gloom for him at this point. So the fact that the prosecutors would offer him a plea deal, again, we don't know what it entails.
Right.
I'm just thinking that it's probably a better chance for him, or probably smarter for his team, to take this plea deal, because with everything that he's facing in this case coming up, I don't see how he's going to get off, especially with Cassie going to testify and then bringing this thing into, this beating into the case. It just doesn't look good for him. So why do you think, with all these crazy charges that are going to be applied to him and brought up against him, why do you think that his team would just flat out just reject this plea deal? Is that a smart move on his team? What do you think?
Well, I think to answer your first question, why do I think his team is doing what they're told to do. So I think those directions, right? Like, your legal team works for you. And so I would imagine, even though they may counsel him to do differently, but the way it works is the prosecution will, typically will offer the deal, and they said, hey, I'll take it back to my client. And so maybe they pitched it to him, and Puff was like, no, I'm not doing it. Take it to trial. I want to go to trial. So with respect to whether or not it's a good idea, who knows? But I would dare say probably not, right? And I'm talking from a total place of pure ignorance. I have no idea, because I don't even know what the plea deal was.
Right.
And I'm convinced that we don't know all of the charges either. It was a show, what's the indictment, a show indictment. So it was about, less than 20 pages.
Right.
Not everything was in there. I think more things will come out as we get closer to the trial date. No need in the prosecutors having to help the defense prepare their case against every charge. They got enough there. So I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship there. And so I wouldn't read into the fact that prosecutors, because the prosecutors offered a plea deal, offered a deal that they don't think their case is strong. I keep going back and saying again that they hit him with a RICO.
Right.
But there are no co-conspirators. And Jay, I know you know this, but for those that may not understand, this is the RICO, which was enacted in 1970, was a way to prosecute criminal organizations, especially the kingpins, the ones that sit up top who aren't necessarily pulling the trigger,
right?
Who aren't necessarily doing the hand-to-hand.
But they're responsible.
Responsible.
Yeah.
Responsible. But in order to get that, you need co-conspirators. You need other people there to corroborate, fumbling words, to say, hey, this is what I did on behalf of this person under his instruction. And we haven't seen any of that. So that tells me, right, if you're gonna hit him with a RICO, either they're, meaning the prosecution, are total idiots, which I don't believe.
Right.
Or there are people that have flipped that they have not yet been disclosed who they are. And I think when the trial happens, all of that will start to come out, because you're going to need to do that to present your witness list in order to have them testify. So I don't know. I think more to come. But the last thing I would say, Jay, is if you're Puff, why not fight it? I mean, why not? You've got resources, you've got money. Like, why not? What do you have to lose? You're in your late 50s. Like a 20-year sentence could be damn near a death sentence for you. So why not fight it?
Well, I would say, and I know you said that the attorneys work for him. Obviously, they work for Diddy, but at what point don't you think that a lot of the clients of these attorneys, listen, he hired these attorneys for a reason. Clearly, he has a lot of respect for them, and I just think it's kind of crazy if your attorneys say, hey, listen, Diddy, we should take this plea deal, that he would just ignore them. Obviously, they're doing this for many years. They know how this case is turning out. They know a lot of the evidence. They know what's going to be taking place during the trial. If your attorney says to you, yo, Kay, yo, Jay, yo, Diddy, like whatever, yo, I think it's in your best interest to take this plea deal, if you take this, they're only offering you, say, we don't know the details. Again, you can spend 10, 15 years in jail, versus if you're found guilty, if this goes to trial, you could be spending 50 years or life in jail or more. Like, to me, it just doesn't make sense, because either way, he's spending time in jail. Like, I don't see him getting off.
You think he's in there regardless?
Right. I think he's in there regardless, right? So my point is, if I'm offered a plea deal where I'm offered less time, especially knowing everything and all the evidence that's in this case, especially even though the tape with the Cassie beating has nothing to do with it, they're allowing that in this case. They're going to play it, right? They're going to play it. She's actually going to testify. So all of this does not look good for him, regardless of whether it has anything to do with the case or not. They're going to be seeing this. They're going to be taking this into an account when they pass judgment down to him. So to me, it just doesn't make sense, because I don't see him walking off scotch-free. But if he takes a plea deal, he could spend a lot less time in jail. To me, that's the smarter thing to do.
Maybe. And again, I know I keep saying this, but I'm speaking from a place of ignorance. But just imagine for a moment if he's thinking, I've got a series of charges, and say I am, now you can be honest with yourself, you can lie to others, but you can be honest with yourself, and say for a moment you believe, or that I'm guilty of 2 out of the 5 charges. Those other 3, I know I can beat. So if I'm looking at only these 2 charges, that's X amount of years. The statute for those 2 charges are X amount of years. If you're thinking that and already assuming that you can beat the other 3, so maybe you're thinking along the lines of all of those charges. When that verdict comes down, whether he's innocent or guilty, they're going to read innocent. They're going to rule innocent or guilty on each one of those charges. So he may be doing the math and saying, hey, I might be found guilty of these two, but innocent of these three.
Mm-hmm.
The statutes on this are X amount of years, which is less than what my plea deal would be. I'm a bloat trial. I'm going to trial. So yeah, it's kind of tough without hearing him,
Right.
and then also knowing what the plea deal was.
Right.
But there's a lot there, and I hear you, right? Like you hire your legal team for their advice.
Yeah, I mean,
but at the end of the day, man, it's just like I said. It's you sitting in that cell, right? Like
it is.
you're already in custody, right? And if you think about it, back
Since September, bro.
right,
It's crazy.
if you think about it, back when we were talking about this,
Yeah.
and I was saying how that I wouldn't be surprised if what's happening now would happen. He's there now.
Yeah.
It's a total different thing when you're in your high rise.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in Miami, your big sprawl. Like
Yeah.
you're in Manhattan. You're in the detention center now.
Locked up since September, all grayed out now.
Right.
Can't get his dye on
Yeah.
there no
So
more. It's horrible.
It feels a little bit different, man. It's just like, nah, and that's in county.
Yeah.
He hasn't even gone to prison yet.
No.
Right?
No.
Gone to prison with his bad paperwork. Like if I'm him and I have resources, listen, if he was just Sean from Harlem, bro, take the deal.
Yeah.
But if you're Diddy with millions of dollars as a resource to put together a good case, it shouldn't matter, right? Justice is blind, bullshit.
Right.
But why not go down swinging, fight? You've got it. If he was just average Joe, Sean Combs, this guy from Manhattan, take the deal. But he doesn't have to.
So you think he's the one who rejected it, not his attorney? His attorney's name is Mark Agnifilio. You think his attorney rejected, or you think it was Diddy who said the last thing?
I think it's always the client, right?
It's always the client at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think that your legal team may advise you and say, hey,
okay,
or do it or not do it, or just say, hey, here's what you're looking at. This is what they offered. Here's my thought, right? Here's what I know. Here's my past experience. Hey, I got some friends over in the DA's office. This is what they're saying, or what they're kind of making overtures about. Right? What were the details around, right? So if they're coming and saying, "Hey, we'll offer a plea," the terms of the plea deal may also give his legal team an indication on where they think the charges that they have against him are stronger or weaker. Right?
Yeah.
The case against him. So if they said, "Hey, we'll remove the the drugs, the gunning, the going across state line, whatever it is, and we'll knock that down," and so forth and so on. That could be like an alert to his defense team, like, oh, they're probably soft on the evidence for that.
Right.
That's why they want to, right? You know what I mean? So I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship there as well too. So
his attorney is just saying, listen, he may lead the swinger lifestyle. That's what his attorney is saying. Yeah, he may lead the swinger lifestyle, but he's not a criminal. And I think maybe the prosecutors, I'm really also interested why the prosecutor even offered a plea deal in the first place. Why wouldn't they want to just take this all out? Are they feeling a little like it may not work out or something like?
Well, it's possible that, but it's also
interesting,
right? But it's also to what I was saying before. Puff has a lot of money, right? And so if you're putting on a case for the government, now you have to match that. You've got to match. So now it's resource against resource. Again, if he was just average person on the street, it'd be a lot easier, and he probably would take that deal. He wouldn't be able to put together, the kind of defense necessary for him to do that, because that's a lot of money. But he's got the money to do that. So the government's also looking at that, probably saying, okay, this is going to be expensive, lengthy, a long time. Maybe he gets that. We want the victory. You know what I mean? We want we want to win the press conference. Say, hey, we've got a predator off the streets and all this other stuff. But he was like, no, I'm going to go to trial. So
It's a big gamble.
And I don't know. Well, it's a huge gamble.
Huge gamble.
It's a huge gamble. But
With your life?
Right. Well, no, I mean it is, but but again, without knowing what the details are, like
that's true.
The plea, if the plea's looking at 15 to 20, you're like 20 years. Or 15, like, or if it's 15.
Or versus 20 years versus 50.
Could be, or if but it could be 15 versus 20.
That's
right.
Yeah.
Like who knows what that is, right? I mean, we're talking about someone's life like it's, like it's shoelaces or something like, just go ahead and do it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's true. I can't wait till we find out what the details are in this plea deal. I don't know if I guess maybe after trial, maybe we'll find out at that point, because that will be very interesting to find out what it is.
And maybe they didn't take it off the table either. They might circle back.
Might be circle back.
Yeah, they could. Like if they didn't remove it, or they could massage it and come back with it. Sometimes trials take place or happening, and then they decide, right? What before there's a verdict, right? Even while the trial's happening. But sometimes you get a sense on the direction. Or you think you do, get a direction of where the trial's going. Hey, it feels like we're trending favorable, right, towards a conviction, right, or not. And so now it's a matter of like, I think I'm going to take my chances. I tell you one thing though, the last, I know it was the last, but the last thing I'll say, the whole Cassie thing, is a little bit of a head scratcher. It seems incredibly presidential, right? Presidential, I think it is. Right. I might have to ask about that. By showing that video. Now, maybe there's reason for her to testify because they were together for a long time.
And I wonder how the judge even allowed that.
Yeah, I don't.
It's some legal thing we don't know about, right?
I'm not sure. I could see that video being played in some sort of instance of rebuttal. Maybe somebody said something, someone said, well, he has no history of ever, and then say, oh, well, now you testify that
they're showing his character.
Now you can show that,
right?
But to introduce that, I don't know how you're not concerned with with creating this kind of prejudice.
And they know they're going to play the tape, so that's why I'm like, damn, give me that plea deal.
No, but
if they have the plea deal, they don't even have to show this tape. We're not going to trial.
Yeah, but the other side of it is, what better way to set you up for an appeal later? Right? Like if they show this and you're like, listen, I couldn't get a fair trial. I didn't get a fair trial because you showed this. It wasn't applicable to my case. And as a result, you prejudiced the jury, created this thing about me that's not even. So who knows? I mean, there could be some chess moves there.
Okay.
Like look at Kay talking like he knows what the hell
maybe
he's talking about.
Maybe you're an attorney in your second life. Is that what it is? You have to represent me because I get a bunch of shit. Okay.
Be careful.
I know. Well, we'll see where this trial goes. It's coming up May 5th, and justice will prevail, right?
Yeah, we're tuning in for that one.
It's like a soap opera going on in this whole thing, man.
Yep.
What we got next, brother?
All right, so our boy Kanye West, man.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, man.
Not our boy.
Listen.
Your boy.
So here's the funny part about this. So Kanye, folks are all up in arms about a song that Kanye released. It's called Cousins.
Cousins, okay.
Right?
What's it about, Kay?
Well, it's about, he's got a lot of lyrics in there about his cousin. He's made reference to this cousin. If it's the cousin that we think, the cousin in question that we think, he's talked about this cousin. They were pretty close when he was growing up. I think he's locked up now. I think he's in prison right now. But in this song, and I guess words matter, but in the song he talks about giving his cousin sloppy toppy multiple times.
Sloppy toppy.
Right. And so here's the part that just really cracks me up.
And his cousin is a
man.
A man.
A man. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have pointed that out.
Yeah. Just giving sloppy toppy to a man cousin. Okay.
Right. Okay. Sloppy toppy to his man cousin, a male cousin.
Okay.
And so what I thought was interesting is how over the past handful of years, Kanye has gone on record in terms of saying some disparaging things about Jay and Beyonce. He has spoke ill of his ex-wife, Kim, made comments about his children. He went so far as to say that slavery for black folks was a choice, but nothing, my dude, has blown up the internet the way it has because Kanye done gave somebody some sloppy toppy.
Sloppy toppy. Sounds like a new Haagen-Dazs flavor.
Hey, Ben and Jerry, y'all want to work on
Can
that
I get a
one?
sloppy toppy, please?
Right. Extra nuts. Oh my gosh, yo, people are flipping out, man.
Yo, it's crazy.
But I was like, and then I was like, oh, it's because it's incestual. But no, I think it was just him. Like, it's just this really kind of, we're just so homophobic in our society and everything. It was like, what? Sucking a dick? But yeah, so
Yes.
that is where we are now.
Okay.
I don't know. So I'm going to ask you, do you think that the contents of the song are real and it's truthful, or is this Kanye's attempt to sell downloads?
Well, it's interesting you asked me that, Kay. I was having this same conversation in my barbershop today. And a very good friend of mine, shout out to Lyris, my barber is a huge Kanye fan.
As many are.
He can do no wrong with this man. And he brought up a very interesting take on this whole situation. And he was telling me that he doesn't know if Kanye really administered a sloppy toppy to his cousin. Just like you said, you pointed out, Kanye has said a wealth of crazy shit over the years, right? And why does he do it? We don't know. But most of us think that he's just an attention seeker and attention. We know that he deals with mental illness like a lot of us do, right? You know, but he says things that are not necessarily true just for, to your point, downloads, attention, clicks, whatever he's searching for. So my friend really doesn't know that this is true. He just thinks that it's just something that is just being said to get extra views, extra clicks, extra downloads, extra publicity on him. And we just wish that Kanye would just go back to the Kanye of old, you know, the college dropout, making great music, doing what you do best, instead of all this extra things that he's doing right now. To me, honestly, it's a great question. I don't know. I really don't know.
What does your gut say? What does your gut say?
So, what does my gut say? Damn, that's a good one. I don't think it's true.
Bro.
I think he's just saying it. Kanye's crazy. Kanye's crazy, but I don't know.
But crazy like a genius crazy, or?
Yeah, you know, like you know, Einstein was crazy.
I never met the man, but
Einstein,
okay.
Yeah, I never met him either. He's a little older than us. He was a little older. However, but a lot of these geniuses, they have a little bit of crazy in them. And I think Kanye, although he's a little crazy, he's also brilliant as well. It's the same thing I say about Trump. Brilliant, right? Like, see, like they know what they're doing. When they say whatever they say, however crazy it seems to be to you and I and a majority of the people in this world, there's a reason behind what they're saying, right? And to your point, I think that's a good reason. He also was saying now, because he uses the word in a recent tweet that he used the other day, he's using the word, not my word, he used this word, faggot, right? And he is now saying, because now that, since he said that he's given this sloppy toppy, that he is now gay, he can use the word faggot because he's one of them. That's what he's implying. That's what he's saying in his tweets. That's what he's saying. So I think if you go into his mind, if he just wants to be able to use the word faggot, like he's used, he's going to say that I delivered a sloppy toppy and I'm gay. I'm one of you.
Okay. I believe it. Listen, man, I don't think I have lived long enough on this earth to see someone admit to giving another man a spitty to sell some records. Dog, make a better beat. Hell, get Mary J to sing on the hook.
We're talking about Kanye here.
Bruh, there's a lot of shit you can do to get some downloads.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You get some downloads before you got to start talking about like gagging, reflexing, and giving spitties and shit on a dude. Like, come on, man. Like, my God. What? What I mean, a TR-808, like, can't he dust off one of them shits and get a beat? You can't get another producer. Who's the hottest rapper? Get that motherfucker. You can't collab with somebody else. Hey, get Jay out of retirement. No, you bypass all of that, all of that, all of that. Collaborations, different beats. You move past all. Hell, get. Hey, go back. Hey, Beyonce, all that stuff I said before. I'm sorry, my bad on that. Can we collaborate on this song? Maybe you get singing on the hook or something like that. Hell, have Little Nas come on on this and then have him say he did some spitty action with somebody. All of that. My man Easy passed through all of that and said, go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Right. To do downloads, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I believe him. And who are we not to believe it? Why can't Kanye like penis? Why
can.
Right. Why people are just, people I feel people don't want to believe that. And it just makes more sense to say, oh no, he's doing something genius because he's trying to get downloads and he's trying to manipulate us all into purchasing his music. To which I say, hell no. Hell no. I believe you, Kanye. I believe you.
Jesus Lord. Listen. You asked me that question earlier, and the response that I gave you that I don't think he is being truthful, there's a backstory to it. Because there is a girl, when I was in college.
Oh boy.
CW Post in Long Island, WCWP 88.1 FM. I was working in a radio station with this young woman by the name of Patricia. I can't remember her last name. But anyway, she was sweet on your boy.
Okay.
Going at me every day, all day long, and she wouldn't. Very nice girl, but she just wouldn't leave me alone. So I said, Self, how the hell I'm going to get her to leave me alone? I don't want to hurt her feelings. She's so nice and she's so sweet, right? The moral of my story is if you speak to Patricia today, she will tell you that your boy J-Rob is gay. Why? Because I told her, Patricia, I'm not into your kind. And she went, oh. She says, oh, I see. I say that to say, Kay, your boy J-Rob isn't gay. But I told Patricia, I'm not gay, contrary to your belief. Anyway, I told Patricia I am gay. Okay, simply because I wanted her to leave me alone and not to break the sweet girl's heart. So I say that to say, not every man who says they're gay or delivered a sloppy toppy is being truthful.
No argument on the last part. The first part about you not being gay.
That's
right. Like, I mean, like, is she the only person to ever say that? Oh man. Oh man. Like, I'm like, I have never, for the record, I have never in my life seen a heterosexual man like yourself turn down as much puss as you have.
I'm a little picky. Just because you're picky doesn't mean you're gay.
It leads to speculation.
Right.
And then I guess I'm supposed to say, not that there's anything wrong with that, right?
There's nothing wrong with gay people.
Nothing wrong
with
that.
All our viewers and listeners, we love gay people. There's nothing wrong with gay people.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not at all.
I'm just saying, for optic purposes, she's not the only one that I think has said, But
that is true.
With that being said, or aside from that, yes. I do think Kanye, I believe it.
You believe it?
Yeah, and so what? I mean, if that's how he gets down, that's how he gets down. I don't care one way or the other. I just think that it's interesting that I feel like folks, the ones who don't want to believe that or don't want to imagine him homosexual or leaning towards, oh, it's genius, and he's trying to sell downloads and trying to promote this song, whereas I'm like, nah, I'm not looking for some buried treasure. I think he gave his cousin a spitty, just like he said, multiple times, and yeah. So That's my position. I'm sticking to it, bro.
Well, listen, we all know that Kanye has done plenty, like you stated earlier, all that crazy shit he's stated. A lot of the shit that he says, I don't believe in the insulting things. He says all these things just for attention. He just said recently that it would have been better if he married Paris Hilton and had kids with Paris Hilton versus having kids with Kim Kardashian. Who says that about the mother of your children? He said, imagine all the hotels I would have been owning if I had kids with Paris Hilton. Like, he says all these like crazy things.
That don't sound that crazy to me.
Well. I mean, it is true. It is true.
I mean.
But he's saying all these things just to get attention. So it's actually very easy for me to believe that he's not being truthful with this statement. It's very, very easy for him to believe that. Like, we'll never know, right? We'll never know. I mean, unless this cousin comes out and speaks and says, oh yeah, it's true, and has some video or some photos, I bet you we won't ever see that. Well, I don't think it's true.
Well, it's funny. This last thing I'll say is, I'm so glad you brought that up. Mm-hmm. Because can you imagine you're that cousin, as I mentioned, I think he's locked up, he's in prison.
Okay.
This dude's sitting in the day room minding his business, got the television playing, and all of a sudden the news report comes up there about him getting the spitty from Kanye. Everyone's turned around and starts looking at him. He's like, yo, I did not. That didn't happen.
Yeah, that didn't happen, right?
Right, like, nah, that's just cuz.
That nigga been clinging on his cell tomorrow night, like, yo, what's good?
You know, cuz got jokes. Cuz got jokes, man. Like, you know, that's, there are as I often say, there are people on the end of these statements we make. So be mindful of that.
Well, listen, whatever the case may be, Kanye, if you really did deliver it, whether you did, whether you didn't, it doesn't matter. Just go back to making good music.
Yeah, net. Yeah,
that's what we need. Music. That's what we want. Yeah. That's what we want. Speaking about music, one of the hottest R&B singers in the game is breaking up happy homes, my brother.
Yeah.
My man Usher, my twin. My bro, Usher.
My twin.
A guy just hit me up in the supermarket the other day. Stopped me and my mom. He'd be like, yo, did anyone tell you look just like Usher? I said all the time. I said, I wish my pockets were the same, but whatever. That's my boy. That's my boy. I like Usher, but he's breaking up happy homes. That's not good. Anyway, there's a story that just came out. He's been touring, doing all these concerts, dropping these little, them little cherry vines in there and stuff like that. They got the cherry vines and little balls at the end, and all these girls up in the audience, they're like, he's taking the cherries up to them, and they're like licking the balls, and he's holding up against that and all that stuff. They're licking the balls and the cherry balls. He's doing all of that, and these women are really getting into it. They find him extremely sexy. And it is crazy how much, fame and attention he's getting from his concerts and doing this little cherry balls trick. Anyway, this 45-year-old man has recently filed for divorce from his wife because Usher was seducing his wife in the audience. She was licking on them little cherry balls. That shit, right? Doing all that stuff, hovering over here. And they got so close, lips to lips, that they accidentally kissed in the concert in front of 20,000+ people. And everybody saw this. This poor husband doesn't get any attention like this. His wife has never even kissed him in public, right? Doesn't give him any of that PDA, none of that stuff. He is devastated and highly embarrassed about his wife's actions at this Usher concert, right? Now, it is crazy, and it's kind of wild that she would do this in front of everyone, and she's married, right? I think it's crazy. So I guess my question to you is, do you think that it is right, or that this guy had a right, this husband had a right, to file for divorce from his wife, who was simply out enjoying herself at a concert, at a Usher concert, and just maybe she got a little heated or whatever and stuff like that, and it was just something very innocent, her enjoying herself with her girls and stuff like that. Do you think that he should have filed for divorce from his wife? over this incident?
Wow. This really sounds like some what do you say J&K shit for real, bro. Like this is
that's what they're trying to do. Right.
This sounds like that.
Yeah, he should have wrote in for us.
Right,
Okay,
right.
well, okay.
Well, listen. Do I think he should have? Could have? Well, I when I heard this, I heard about this story, and one of the things I thought of was this. This to me felt like the cherry on top, like the last straw.
Like the cherry on top. You know,
Right.
Cherry. Right.
Oh yeah, no pun intended. But this to me feels like this is the last straw. Now maybe he thought that was enough to cross the line. I do believe he crossed the line. Is it worth divorce? I don't know if I would be incredibly pissed off at my wife, my woman, for doing something like that. I would hope that I would have selected the right person to be my partner in life, that she wouldn't do something like that. But I just feel like that's just the last straw. And this woman probably has, maybe there might have been something happening before where, like, I don't think that, like, Usher's an incredible singer. He's incredibly charismatic and such, but I don't think he pulls that out of you if that ain't already in you, right? You know what I mean? Like, you have to be capable of that. Like you said, you
don't believe in seduction?
Well, I do believe in seduction, but I think there are also thousands and thousands of women who wouldn't do that, right? And so she ain't one of them. She ain't one of them ones, as they say, right? Mm-hmm. She's the type that's going to, as you put in air quotes, accidentally let her lips touch his, right? And so, I mean, there you are. There's something also to be said about your fantasy fuck, right? Maybe Usher is her fantasy fuck, right? Here's her time. Her time. I think oftentimes when we talk about our fantasy fuck, we don't really think we'll ever have an opportunity to do that. Thus why they're fantasies.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden she paid good money because she's real up close to the stage.
Her husband probably bought the tickets.
Probably. And here she is face to face.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. With Confessions man himself.
Mm-hmm.
And she took her shot. And so part of that is like, go on, girl. You did it. You did it, right?
Yeah.
How many of us will never, ever get that close to our fantasy fuck, right? You got close enough to at least get some lip-on-lip action, get it. From her standpoint, she might be like, listen, it was worth the divorce.
Damn, that's a damn shame.
You know what I mean? Who knows? Who knows? But in terms of him, listen, man, if he can't reconcile that, if he can't get over that, then he needs to move on. Hopefully it doesn't come to that they can work on their marriage, stay together. But if he can't get over it, then I do think you need to kind of separate from that. But hopefully he can, and they can kind of keep that marriage together. I would hate to see a couple of folks break up because of that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He said that was it here? Oh, he said that it cut him so deep. The pain cut him so deep. It felt like she respected a stranger more than me. Right? Mm-hmm. And that's the crazy part about it too. It's like, how are you going to respect another one more than her husband? And then it said, according to her heartbroken husband, his wife has never kissed him in public, not even once. Yet she gave that stranger one in front of over the 20,000 people, which is insane. So you don't kiss your husband, not even once in public, but you're out there kissing this stranger in front of the whole world to see. And you know his boys are probably killing him right now. Yeah. Imagine you saw my girl out of the concert doing that. You're going to kill me. I kind of, even if I don't want to get rid of your ass, I got to get rid of your ass. You're embarrassing me in front of the world. I know how that guy feels. So did you say that you felt that he's right for filing for divorce or wrong?
No, I think he is right for that. In particular, if it's something he can't get over. But you bring up something, right? Like the first thing I felt was when you were reading his statement
Yeah.
is the respect part. Right, and you and I have talked about this before. In relationship, I'll take respect
Yeah.
over love,
Right.
at the very top of the list. And so that is a lack of respect. That's a lack of respect for your valves, and your relationship. And so when that gets broken, there's no recovering from that. And
Right.
so sometimes people back you into a corner, and you have no choice but to do that.
But you don't think, okay, but what about, listen, there's marriage, right? There's love. Apparently there's love in this marriage. Maybe not so much respect as you're saying, but you don't think marriage is something that two people should fight for? Listen, we all know that men and women are not perfect. They're going to make mistakes in their marriages and things like that. You know, people make bad decisions all the time. Now, I'm sure in hindsight, she probably looked back and she says, you know what? It probably wasn't the smartest decision that I made to, you know, licking on them cherry balls and whatever, and and the accidental kiss probably wasn't her smartest decision, right? But at the end of the day, she could definitely still love her man, right? Love her man, you know, and she could still respect him. That wasn't a respectful situation. She made a mistake, right? Don't you think that marriages should be fought for when we all know that everything is not always going to be all rosy and everyone's not going to make the best decisions? Why don't you think that, you know, maybe he jumped the gun too much to just file divorce? Sit down and talk with her. Like, work this out. Like, you don't just give it up and just file for divorce. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
Well, like I said, I started off by saying that this felt to me like it felt more like a last straw. I have no way of knowing.
Right.
But it didn't, to me, it didn't feel like that incident in and of itself was the reason.
Okay.
But it felt like there may have been multiple reasons. And
Straw that broke the camel's back?
And this is the straw that broke that camel's back. That's what it felt like.
Okay.
Listen, can you say to her or on her behalf, she got caught in the hyperbole of the moment,
Got
right?
caught up by
I mean,
Ursha.
it
Ursha,
is
baby.
Ursha, right? You're a big fan.
Right.
You can, but I think that's a slippery slope. I think any one of us could use that as an out. You don't want that. You don't want to say, you know, you got, you know, caught in the moment, or I was drunk, or like anything that you want to put out there to excuse your behavior. I don't know if you want to deal with that, right? Like I'd be very concerned if my partner used those kinds of things as an excuse to justify your behavior. So it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if we'll ever hear more about the story. Like, that's the bigger part. I don't think anyone cares about the resolution.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, there's no video of them.
There's no video.
of the
You think Usher has any fault in this?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. Like her relationship, that covenant is between that couple. This dude's just putting on a show, man.
Right.
He's just giving out cherry balls. And, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't like, if you shouldn't. He's probably like, listen, only you know whether or not you should eat that ball.
Exactly, right.
Like, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out there. I ain't putting my tongue out there licking on these cherry balls.
Right. Like, if you want to do that, that's up to you, right?
Right.
She could have, you know, kept her mouth shut and walked away from that. So that's my piece.
Well, listen, I hope you guys work it out, and we'll see what happens with this. If there's any follow-ups, we'll definitely check back on it. But listen, man, love is love. For all y'all people that's married and going through your issues here and there, work it out sometimes the best you can be. But at the end of the day, like Kay say, if you feel disrespected, it might just be that time to end it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man.
What we got next, brother?
Well, so add Shannon Sharp to the list.
Oh, good Lord. What's going on now?
Add him to the list of men who have been accused of some sexual improprieties. I can't think of words today. So he was accused of sexually assaulting his, I guess, girlfriend, that someone that had a relationship. Now, her name was published. I am not going to say her name.
Okay.
Right? If you want to know what her name is, you can go out and Google it and so on. And the reason why I'm saying that, Jay, is because she filed the suit. It was under Jane Doe.
Okay.
Shannon released it.
Shannon released the suit.
He released the name.
Oh, he released the name
of who she is.
Interesting. Okay.
Right. And so I'm not going to go down that route.
Okay.
It's all over the internet, so if you want to see who it
Right.
is, it's got OnlyFans and
Right.
so on. So anyway, so the story is that she filed a suit against him. Little bit of background. Evidently, they met at a gym, hooked up, started a relationship. Her claims are that the relationship was, although consensual, at times it was violent in nature. He was aggressive and threatened her life on some occasions. She had some conversations that were videotaped. There were some sessions, some sexual sessions that were videotaped. Word is that her lawyer, and we'll get to him in a minute, Busby, presented this to Shannon.
The ambulance chaser
and
attorney.
and
Jesus.
$10 million is what we're hearing that he offered, meaning Shannon, which they rejected. They wanted 50.
Oh.
They wanted 50, and then nope, didn't get that. So then they filed charges, and so that's where Shannon comes out, said this is a shakedown, so forth and so on. It reverberates. Now he's either removed or did a self-imposed removal from his ESPN slot. He was on there 2 days a week. I want to say Monday and Tuesday.
Right.
On First Take with Stephen A.
Yeah.
So he removed himself from that. The other part is, as many people know, he's got a couple of podcasts, and that is on the Volume, which is the podcast network, which is Callan Coward's. The agreement for that ended or was about to end, and there was conversation that he was up for $100 million for the re-sign.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
He has absolutely turned this industry on its ear, done an amazing job. Talk about an incredible, I can't even say a second act, his third act. How many people?
Yeah,
How many people get one? He's got two. Professional athlete in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
He creates a name for himself on television.
Yep.
And now in the podcast
world.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely. So God bless him for that.
Yeah.
So he may lose all of this. All of this stuff may come down like a house of cards. He's coming out saying he's going to fight it vehemently. The charges are false. It doesn't look good for Shannon. And there's an aspect to the story I'll bring up a bit later. But I'm going to ask you, man, and you got no way of knowing, but I'm going to ask you anyway. In this story, based on what you've heard and what you've read, is Shannon guilty because he's guilty? Or is Shannon guilty because of public perception?
And let me ask you something. I don't know if you said it. You might have said it earlier. How old is this girl supposed to be?
That is a wrinkle to the story. She is, reports are she's somewhere between 19 and 20.
Mm-hmm. And he's in his 50s.
Shannon, I believe, is about 56.
Right. Yeah. You know, yes, there's no way for me to know. So I don't really want to pass judgment on who I think he's guilty or not or whatever.
Well, please do. That's what the podcast is for,
Yeah,
brother.
I know, but but I've been told I'm gonna watch what I say.
Oh my gosh.
Turn over to a little leaf here.
Oh, Lord.
Kay may not like it.
Have you been talking to legal? To the legal department?
Oh, the legal department. Yeah, they did say, "Yo, Jay, you gotta watch what you say." So the hell with y'all. But no, but I'm more. And sometimes when I hear stories like this, and I think to myself, I'm so tired of hearing these stories again. I don't know. Let me ask you this though: when was this all supposed to happen? Like, what year? Do you know when this was all supposed to go down? These allegations. When this whole the beating and all these.
Well, this is. I think the relationship is months old. It's not.
Oh, it's months old.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's not multiple years.
Okay, it's not multiple years.
My understanding.
Yeah.
It's not multiple.
Yeah.
Well, hell, I think she's like 19. I hope it's not multiple years.
Right. Yeah. Right. You're 19.
We've
That's
been
true.
talking about different charges.
That's
then,
true.
Right?
That is true. That is true. I listen. I just think that if anything that he's guilty of, I would say is messing around with such a young girl. Because anytime you mess with such a young girl, the likelihood and the odds of you facing problematic situations like this and allegations is way higher than if you was dealing with a woman of your own age.
I don't
right?
know.
You know, so you don't know what.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about right
You should
now.
know what I'm talking about.
Ah,
When
like
you
what
mess
is-
with young girls, when you're a
Ah.
50-something-year-old man,
Okay.
it is very likely that you are going to, especially with young girls like that who probably doesn't have a pot to piss in and is looking for money, and you are famous and you are rich and you are an older man, you are very likely to find yourself into trouble when people are making allegations against you, whether it's true or whether it's not. I don't know, right? But if it's not, you're putting yourself in a situation where you're going to have charges filed against you. That's not true because you're messing with a girl. She's a girl. You're a grown man. So the likelihood of you not running into these problems is if you just talk to a woman who's in your own age bracket, who's doing well for themselves, who doesn't need your money. So that's all I could really say that he's guilty of. I can't talk about whether he's guilty of the charges or not. That I don't know. And I'm not going to go there on that one. But that is where I think he is guilty.
So I'm not here for this young women have some sort of exclusive rights to making allegations.
No, not
right?
exclusive.
Well, but like the notion that you're attributing that to young women. I don't know the basis. I don't know the basis of that. I don't know where that comes from. I'm not sure where that is. If it is true, it's a horrible thing. But sexual assaults, and I think women will tell you, regardless of their age, it happens. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
it does.
maybe I don't know the data. Maybe you said something that it is true. I'm not sure if it is or not. Maybe there's something there to that. But here's what I'll also add to this. Her representation was it Tony? I think his name is
Tony Busby.
Tony Busby. And so a little bit
The ambulance chaser attorney.
Well,
That's what he is.
Well, I don't know anything about that, but
I mean, Jay's going after him right now.
well, so yeah, so there was the Jane Doe. I don't know if she ever disclosed her name. There was this woman. She said that Diddy and Jay sexually assaulted her when she was 13.
Right.
Not so much came out from Puff, but Jay vehemently denied it.
Of course.
And then
Right.
and then came after and then I think they said they dropped the charges from that or dropped the case or they didn't any charges because they didn't file.
Right.
But that case just kind of went away.
Okay.
But also Busby represented the women that sued Deshaun Watson as well.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So
and
he's
so
in-
there
right.
must have been maybe 27. It was a class action of all those women, 27 women that went after Deshaun. 23 out of the 27 went forward with it and got paid out. So I say all that to say, take this what you will. I don't necessarily agree with you that he's just strictly an ambulance chaser. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen. Someone has to represent them. So you take a look at maybe representing someone that went after Jay, and maybe that wasn't, and why it was dropped. But then you've got this other one where all of these women went after Deshaun Watson. Deshaun paid up. Also, as I mentioned, as it's being reported, Shannon was going to pay. Word is that he was up for about $10 million that he was going to pay.
Okay.
And they felt like it wasn't enough. Now, was that just easier to just kind of make it go away? I know that you've got strong opinions against that. That why an innocent man would do that. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. Maybe there is some truth there, right? 10 million is a lot of money to pay for something that you say that you're innocent of doing just for the purpose of it going away. Now, we're talking about a lot of money, potentially him losing a lot of money. Word was, like you said, he was up for maybe $100 million on his next agreement.
Yeah.
Word is that he's been angling for a talk show very similar to Kimmel and who's the other gentleman?
Jimmy Fallon. Yeah.
Right. So that's why you
Yes.
see him doing a lot of the night, not the nightcap, the Club Shay Shay,
Right.
those type of
Yeah.
interviews. So, and you know those shows, those hosts of those shows, they get bags.
Big
of
time,
bucks.
yeah.
Right. So maybe with all of that, $10 million, the
It's
ROI,
like nothing to
right?
him, right?
Like maybe it's worth it for that, but it's not. It's certainly not a good look. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. It does not look good, but I think the thing that what I think people are getting caught up on is the thing that you brought up is this age disparity, which is not the story. It's not the story, and so he may have a tough time with this just because of people's opinion on this age difference between he and his ex-girlfriend, which is wrong because that's not the story. Anyone that focuses on that is burying the lead because that is not the story. This woman may have potentially been sexually assaulted, or this brother could be innocent to where he's being accused of something incredibly heinous. Because we're talking about this from a civil lawsuit. We can't be messing around. The DA could pick this. This is months old, right? They haven't been together for years.
Right.
If there was an act of crime, they don't even need her in some cases. If the DA decided to go after him, and here's the last thing I'll say before I pass it to you: when have we ever seen cases like this come up, and it just be one? There's usually somebody else such popping up, whether you think it's true or not, what have you.
Well, of course.
Somebody else is going to come up. He had the restraining order against him in, was it 2010, 2011? Eventually it was thrown out. But there was this, so at least there's this documented, be it true or not, of this violent history, this history of violence towards women. It's not looking good for Brother Shannon.
I wonder about that girl the last time we covered Shannon Sharp. And remember where he accidentally was on IG and he accidentally leaked the audio of himself having sex with a girl. I wonder if that is the same girl that's in this case. I'm curious. I mean, I know we have no idea who that girl could have been, but I'm wondering if there's any correlation between these two girls or women or whoever they may be.
I will say this, man, that the name of this woman who filed the charges against him is not the name that was on the video, on the audio, right?
Okay.
So in the audio, he was saying Michelle. Now, that could be a pet name for all we know.
Maybe a pet name.
Right?
What up, Michelle?
Right.
Yeah, right.
And so, and they were saying, according to reports, there was a lot of role playing. So it could have been her. We never
could have been Nurse Michelle.
Never heard her voice.
Right.
Could, so maybe that in the role playing.
Or Sister Michelle. Could have been a nun.
Could have been any one of those.
He could have been right.
But that all I just and I curse you for putting that shit back in my head.
What?
But that big Roebuck ass Negro with that
listen.
Heavy breathing.
Heavy breathing.
Yeah.
Listen, this guy, yes, the age thing is not the story. The story is this alleged assault, right? Alleged sexual assault. That is the story. But as you know, the mass, the public, when we see men of a certain age dating women, not women, girls of a certain age, people just don't look, fondly when they see that. So, the thing is, like, they feel if they're doing that, and they're doing such things like that, which women and a lot of people don't look good on, they're like, well, maybe he did do this sexual assault. Not to say that has anything to do with it, because you can sexually assault a woman of any age, in her 50s, 60s, whatever. It doesn't matter, but it's just, a lot of these celebrities, they get so much power and so much fame, and they find themselves to be invincible, like in the Diddy situation. Of course, there are different situations, but a lot of these celebrities, they have this power to them, especially when they are dating younger people. They feel like, they're very controlling, and they're not able to accept no. Like, I think the woman was saying that, listen, even if I said yes to him to have sex 2 and 3 and 5, 10, 20 times, that's fine. But if I just say no one time, that is no. And he proceed to push up on me and push me to have sex, that is sexual assault. So, it's just, I'm just saying, even though it doesn't have one thing to do with another, it has nothing to do with age, it's just not a good, I'm just speaking in general, bro.
Yeah,
it's just not a good look for a
it's
50-something-year-old man to be having sex with a 19-year-old. That's all I'm saying. And it just makes your case and makes people look on the case, looks at you as this bad man, or that, yes, he must have did it. Not saying that you did, but it just makes people more likely to believe that you did and just puts you in a bad light. That's all I'm saying. So that is what I'm saying he's guilty of. I don't know whether he's guilty of the actual sexual assault crime. I don't think we'll ever know, because especially if they were together as a couple and they were seeing each other and they had consensual sex, that's very hard to prove a sexual assault when you have been having consensual sex with a man and or a woman over a certain amount of years or whatever like that. It's very hard, and that's why they go into character. They're gonna dig into character of this girl. They're going to dig. We already know Shannon's character, but they're going to dig into his character even deeper. And that's how they're going to make the judgment. And we're going to see how it plays out. But yes, to your point, I don't like when these celebrities pay out a certain amount of money. Because if I'm innocent, I'm innocent. I'm not paying you a goddamn dollar if I'm innocent. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
You don't believe in just some money to go away, make it all just kind of go away?
No, I mean, they said that about Michael Jackson when he paid off the family of the little boy who said that he molested him, and he paid the family off millions. I didn't like that move because I honestly, listen, I don't know what happened in that case either, but I'm just not a fan of people and these celebrities paying off these accusers, they're accusers, whether it's true or whether it's not. I'm not a fan. And it does make me think, why are you paying them off if you're innocent? Why are you doing it doesn't make sense to me. Right. And so
isn't that, how about that being the civil version of a plea deal? Do you view it that way? Kind of make that correlation. You take the plea deal, even though you might think that you're innocent, but sometimes you don't know if you can necessarily prove it.
No, I see. As I was thinking about that too when we was talking about Diddy. But I mean, it's just like I feel like, maybe because I'm claustrophobic, I feel like if I'm facing 50 years in jail versus maybe 20, I could see a reason. I could see where you make that correlation and where that could be done. But I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point. I just don't like paying up money, bro, when I'm innocent. But with the plea deal, I might have to take that just because I'm not saying that I'm guilty, but I don't want to spend 50 years in jail. I want to spend 10 or 20.
Yeah, well, look, so far, no criminal, no, there hasn't been any talk of any criminal charges or anything like that. But yeah. And that'd be interesting to see what happens with that. Okay. This is man, this is rough.
This is rough for Shannon and rough for the girl if it's true. Rough for the girl if it's true, and rough for Shannon if it's not true. Right. And like you said, his career was just
oh my gosh,
going up and up and up like no limit for him.
Like a meteor.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, well, best of luck to both parties and hope justice prevails.
Yep.
All right, so it's that time, y'all. What do you say? J and K. What we got, my brother? What we got?
All right, so we pulled the letter out. So this is from Darren from Atlanta. It looks like he sent us a letter through Facebook, also known as Meta now. It says, J and K, I'm a 53-year-old man in a relationship with a 26-year-old woman. Lately, I noticed a lot of rhetoric on this anti-older man, younger woman dating thing. People make it sound like these relationships are strictly transactional and not based on love or preference. Can you guys tell me why do you think some people have such a visceral reaction to age gap dating? Jay, I'm going to let you take a stab at this on this age gap dating. And I want to say he is 27 years her senior. So
he's 27 years senior.
So tell me, why are people having such a visceral reaction? And if I can add to Darren's question, I also want to hear your personal take. One, his question, why you think people react that way, and two, your own personal opinion on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you say people, yeah, so men and women are going to look at that whole scenario differently, obviously. You know, so when people are looking at it negatively, let's say if it's a man, right? Well, let me start with the women because most men really don't give a shit about that. Most women who will look negatively on that because they're probably old and washed up, right? They're you said the guy was 53. They're probably 50 some odd year old women who are not young and tight like that 26-year-old women is. The ass ain't popping as much. The titties are sagging. They ain't nice and perky like the 26-year-old. And they're looking at that man that they're probably looking at, God damn, he'd look good. I wish he wanted me. But no, he wants that 26-year-old. God damn her. God damn her. Hex on her. That's what they're probably saying. So we know they're just hating. That's all they're doing. Most of the women are just hating. They're talking about, complaining about, oh, this big gap. What the hell do you care? Okay? What do you care? That's a strange woman you don't know. It's a strange man you don't know. They're happy together. They're doing the only thing. What the hell do you give a shit for? Right? If there's love there, there's happiness. If it's working for them, that is fine. So why the women care is because they're simply hating that it's not them. Okay?
Yep.
Men, the men are probably hating because those men can't get that 26-year-old. They can't get her. They want her. They want to be doing just what that guy is doing. But because they can't, because they don't have a certain amount of money, because they don't look a certain way, whatever the case may be, why they can't get that 26-year-old woman, that is why they are hating on that man, right? Because if you can't join them, go against them.
Interesting.
That is why men and women both look at those situations in a negative way. Now you're asking me what do I think about it?
Yeah.
I'm an open-minded kind of guy, as you know, Kay. I'm very open-minded. I'm extremely non-judgmental. I
was clearing my throat. My bad.
Doc, I don't know about this guy. He sounded a little suspicious.
I had a little, you get that little bullshit in the back of your throat. I'm sorry.
Listen, people, in case you don't know, I'm the most open-minded, non-judgmental guy that you will ever meet, podcast or in the real world. And guess what else? I love love. And I don't care whether you're 53 and 26, or whether you're 26 and 26, or whether you're 53 or you're 53. As long as love is there and there's mutual respect, then I'm all for it. I have no problem with the age gap thing whatsoever, right? I'm not the one that has a problem with that. The people that I just described to you earlier, those are the people that have a problem with it. So I love love. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. To answer your question, I think it's perfectly fine. Now, are there going to be people that look at you in a certain situation and maybe look down on you and question why you're doing it? Yeah, but who cares about them, right? You just do you, be happy, make that relationship work with whatever age gap that it is. It's fine. And honestly, it's a little bit better, honestly, when you're dating a woman, or a man that is younger for you. So whether it's a woman dating a man younger or a man dating a woman younger, that's great, right? Because they're younger, right? They got more life to them, more spice to them, there's more action, more fun. Instead of dating another 53-year-old like yourself, it's probably going to be a little less tiring and boring and not fun and exciting. And when they're younger, they teach you new things. When the guy is older, he teaches you new things. So when there's such an age gap like that, both parties can teach each other new and different things that they wouldn't learn if they was with someone their own age. That's my answer.
Okay. I agree with some of what you're saying.
Some?
No, let me unpack a bit.
Oh, because you should have agreed with everything that I just said.
No. I agree with some of what you said. In theory, I agree with overall. Let me go on record with saying, in theory, I agree with all of it. Some of the reasoning, I don't necessarily agree to. I think with you pointing out, it seems like you made some comments less favorable about older women which I don't necessarily agree with. I think that there are some men for older women, and if you're age appropriate, if you look age appropriate, and that's what he's attracted to, God bless you, right? But I don't see anything wrong with two adults getting together, just like you. Never understood this reaction or the way that people react to the age disparity between man and woman. I do think there is something to what you said about the way older women respond to younger women.
Sure.
Right? There could be some of that, which is a bit odd to me too, right? Like the beauty industry makes billions of dollars a year by selling products to make you look younger. Which, who do you think is buying that? You think a 22-year-old is buying products to make her look 22 years old?
Right.
Right? So it's going to be an older woman buying that product to look younger. So all of a sudden, we want to change the narrative around. In this society, we attribute, when it comes to beauty, younger is better. I'm saying it is, but younger is better. Athletically, younger is better. Like there's a part of our society in the way that we view it that younger is better. All of a sudden, we want to chastise this man for wanting or skewing towards that thing that's better, that we designate as better. There's something terribly wrong with that, right? Just like the letter said, I don't think they're all transactional. I think there are some really love components there. The other thing too is I would ask you a question, or ask a question in general, is if you're a dad, and the reason why I bring this up is because when you mention this question I'm gonna bring up, when you mention the reason that men may have a problem with it is because they can't get her. I disagree with that a little bit.
Okay.
In the examples that I've seen where men aren't necessarily a fan of it is, say like if a man has a daughter, and somehow, some way, he equates, or I guess envisions this man, maybe close to his age or maybe his age, with his daughter.
It ain't happening.
Right.
Not my daughter.
But here's the thing, and like you said, not happening.
Not with my daughter.
But let me ask you this. As a father, if you're a father of a daughter, and so your daughter is, say, 27, right? So you got a 27-year-old daughter, and there are two gentlemen who are pining for her interest and her attention. One gentleman is 29 years old, and the other gentleman is 49 years old. I submit that, is it possible that just in pure circumstance, that the gentleman who's 49 going on 50 is a better fit for your daughter when you're looking through a father's lens and wanting what's best for your daughter, the circumstances and all of those things involved? Let's unpack that for a moment. That man that's 49 years old may have, right, technically speaking, maybe in a better job because he's had more work experience, which means he's a better earner. Which means if he's a better earner, maybe his home life is better. A better roof to put over the head of your daughter. Better circumstances, all of those things. He's also maybe in position to help her with her own bills, assuming that she's got, say, maybe some student loan or something. Versus being in that relationship with someone who's only 2 years older than her at 29, who's still going through some of those same financial aspects that your daughter's going through. Moreover, they may be in different points of their lives where that young man at 29 is still trying to sow his oats, right? Versus less likely, happens, but less likely for that man of 49. I think there is something where fathers put this kind of sexual something in their head with their daughters and this older man, which is absolutely sickening because, one, that's weird. I don't know why you think of your daughter that way, but two, do you think that the 29-year-old is not going to give her back shots? She's going, she's going to get, listen, whether she's with the 29-year-old or the 49-year-old, somebody's going to be sweating out her cream of nature, tan that ass up. So why does it matter? If I'm a father, I would want what's best for my daughter. And if I'm looking at both those things, that older gentleman is more than likely better suited to put my daughter in a situation to where she's more likely to be taken care of and sitting better than say being in this relationship with someone that's kind of 29 and closer to her age. That's what I take from that. Now, I'm not a father, full disclosure. I'm not a father, but just looking at it from that lens, I've never quite understood this thing where, well, I've got daughters. I've got a daughter, and I wouldn't want her talking to some older guy. It's creepy. So all of a sudden, dude is creepy. The relationship is kind of creepy. And the last thing I'll just say outside of that, or in addition to that, is when we talk about, hey, these men only want this woman at that age, these young women, because they want somebody they can just control and boss around. Have you been around these young chicks? These chicks are spicy as hell. You ain't checking in bras like that. Like what? Like who? Listen. If we're out in the world, what's easier to tame, an old mare or a young stallion just running around? What is easier to get inside the barn? So I don't know where that even came from. Where they're like, oh, they just want someone that they can control and boss around. I'm like, who are these women? Please point them out. Point them out, because I don't see them. Because the young ones got lip and sass for days. They're spicy as shit.
Yeah.
Who are you checking? Like, so stop. So stop all of that. So I'll get off my soapbox, man. I'll give it back to you. What do you think?
I mean, listen, in full disclosure, I'm not a father either, as you know, but I would want my daughter to date a woman closer to her age. I can't explain to you why I have this feeling of when an older man, 53, and they're dating my 26-year-old daughter, or 49, dating my 26-year-old, something about that just doesn't sit well with me. Something about that is a little creepy to me.
No, that's not enough. You got to explain that, man.
Well, it's something about a little creepy. Either way, like to your point, they're doing nasty things to my daughter. Either man, doesn't matter. Right. I understand that.
Right.
But I want my daughter to grow up and to go into her relationship with a man closer to her age.
Why?
A lot of the older men, not all, a lot of the older men are controlling. And I don't need, that's my daughter, all right? That's my girl for life. I don't need.
Now that's creepy.
I don't know. That's not creepy.
No,
She's my non-sexual woman.
That's
all
creepy.
All of my women.
That's oh, here we go.
All of my women are my women. My mom, my aunt, my sisters, my daughters, my wife, my girl. Dude, they're all my women.
That shit is creepy, dude.
They are all my non-sexual women. I got them.
That's creepy.
I got them, right? I don't need my daughter depending on, and I don't like when, and a lot of these older men use their finances to be controlling of these younger girls. And a lot of these younger girls, not all, because a lot of young girls out there doing their thing.
Not all, man. Go ahead,
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just explaining, because sometimes people be like, well, not all. I'm just putting that out there. But I'm saying
some people are too stupid to listen. We ain't talking to them.
Listen, nobody's stupid. We can't call our viewers stupid. No, I'm saying. I'm just saying that not all, but a lot of them, they may not be working. They may not make a lot of money, and they get with these older men with money for a certain reason. And you were saying a lot of times these relationships are transactional, right? And I loathe those kind of girls, right? Because they are getting with these guys, these older men, simply because they are paying all of their bills. They're taking them to fine restaurants. They're flying them to Dubai. They're doing all these nice things, which is a transaction. I much rather my daughter, this is just my preference, right? My 27-year-old daughter getting with that 29-year-old man who may not have as much money, who may be working very hard. They're going through life together and they're figuring it out together. I much rather, this is my personal opinion. I much rather my 27-year-old daughter be with that 29-year-old man and they work it out and they work through it together. Now, is it easier for her to get with that 49-year-old who has a lot more money? So of course it's easier. I'm not going to raise my daughter to look for the easy way out. I'm not raising my daughter like that. My daughter is going to be raised as an independent woman that can handle her own business, pay her own bills, and that's able to get with that 29-year-old a man and work as teammates and partners through life together. I'm not having her go through that easy way out and get with that 49-year-old who's going to pay all her bills and make life easy for her. No, my daughter's going to work her ass off and be an independent woman. That's the kind of daughter that I want, and that's the kind of daughter that I'm going to raise.
Yeah, well, I couldn't disagree. I couldn't disagree with you more.
It's your opinion.
And I don't think raising your daughter to be strong and independent and kind of a self-doer should be an indication of she shouldn't be in a relationship where she can be vulnerable and rely independent on her partner, right? Like that. I don't think.
Not raising my daughter to have to depend.
Excuse me. I think conflating those two are wrong, in my opinion. I guess the one thing that when people start talking about her being with someone who's younger versus being older, and everything. So look, let me put it this way. I think everything that a woman's going to go through with that young man is the same thing that she's going to go through in her life with an older man. I think if that were my daughter, I would feel better if there was someone with her that had some wisdom to be able to help her navigate through life to avoid some of those pitfalls.
Not 29-year-old can't.
Excuse me.
Okay.
He just has not lived. There are things that we did not know, Jay, at 29 years old that we knew at 39.
Okay.
That's just a fact. And so now, moreover, there were things that why can't he support her and help her through that? So when people start saying those things like, well, like why does she have to go there? Or why are you comfortable, meaning people, why are you comfortable with her going through these things when she doesn't have to, as opposed to having someone in her life supporting her, helping to guide her and saying, hey, this is what I experienced. This is something that I saw. You may want to avoid that. Ultimately, it's your decision, but be mindful that this is what lurks around that corner, or this is the impact that decision can have because I've experienced that, I saw that, and so on. You do the same thing as a parent. We do the same thing as a friend. If that person can provide that, as a dad, I would love that. I want my little girl to be strong and independent, but I don't want her to have to go through it. That to me is a survival kit, not a necessary kit. And I think more often than not that our young women, in particular our community, that they have been taught that and raised that way, which now makes them not necessarily good partners, because we teach them, we've been saying, well, I'm going to raise them to be independent and strong and not need anyone and so on. Okay, that is a great, great, great skill to have. But you know what we don't do? We don't give them an off switch. So we do that and we push them in life without saying, this is an emergency pack. It's a survival kit. It is not to be applied all the time. Mm-hmm. It is there for when you actually need it. Now, if you're with this brother, this man who provides that, and you can live, you don't have to pull at that survival kit to where I can be my independent and do for me, then don't. Because I don't want my girl to struggle. I struggled. Mm-hmm. Ain't nothing fun about it. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like, I'm not going through that, and I know you and I came up a bit different. Fuck that. Mm-hmm. When you go through that, you don't want that for your kids. Mm-hmm. Facts. So if I look at that and I know that this man is going to treat her well, treat her like a queen, be respectful to her, treat her the way that I would want her treated, and the only thing that you can say to me is he's 25 years her senior, that's the only thing, I say, man, come on, live and be prosperous. Live, whatever the saying goes, live and be prosperous. Like that to me,
live, love, and laugh. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. All people have is the fact that they're closer in age. But when you get to the why, just like you're saying, I don't know, this is just what I want. There's no factual.
I explained further in detail.
Feeling, what you brought up was these transactions. You said not all, but sometimes they're this. Who the fuck is talking about that? Not the person, not Darren who wrote the letter, not me, your co-host, and your brother sitting across from you. Right. I'm talking about, if it's a transactional thing, fuck that. Nobody cares about that. I'm talking about real relationships. Just like he said, based off love, based off preference. There's nothing wrong with that. It's two fucking adults.
So at the end of the day, you're always going to want the best person for your daughter, regardless of age. It doesn't matter. But I think
that's not what you're saying, though.
No. I'm saying this right now. I'm adding this. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter the age. It matters who's treating your daughter, who is treating your daughter the best, and who your daughter loves, right? Regardless of the age. I'm not going to say that, I'm going to give an edge up on the 49-year-old because the other guy is 29 and he can't do a good job. No, I'm not going to say that at all.
Why not?
I think because that's making an assumption. You're making an assumption that moreover, actually, I probably wouldn't. I want
that's what we're doing. Assumption. Of course, that's what we're doing.
You're making an assumption that a 49-year-old will be a better husband to your daughter than the 29-year-old. That's an assumption.
Based off
of what? You don't know what.
Based off of the things that I.
Yeah, but that is not all. Listen.
Are you about to say that's not all? Please tell me.
No, that is not all. You're saying just because he's 49 that he's going to automatically treat your daughter better. Is that what you're saying?
Jay, I'm sitting across. I didn't say all and automatically. Okay. What the fuck, babe?
Okay, so 29.
If everything was absolute, there would be no reason to have a fucking conversation.
Okay. So
it's not all. It's not an extreme.
So this is why I said
it's probability.
Right.
That's all we're talking about.
So this is why I said
based off of what I said, it's just probability.
Right.
Based off of the things that I mentioned, are probable, not definite, not all, not extreme. That just sounds crazy. That's crazy
it's
talk.
Probable that a 29-year-old is going to grow. And guess what? By the way, we all know that women outlive men by like 7 years, okay? So if my 27-year-old is dating a 49-year-old, she's not going to have that husband in her life for too goddamn long, okay? However, if she marries the 29-year-old, they are going to have a lot more time together. And that's very important for me and my daughter. No, well, you asked me what would I want for my daughter. So I'm answering your question. Right. So I want my daughter to have her husband as long as she possibly can. And if she's marrying that 49-year-old, he is not going to be her husband for too goddamn long. So my personal preference is I want my daughter to be with a man closer to her age so they can go through together as partners. She already has a daddy. I'm her daddy.
That's the creepy shit.
No, I'm not saying daddy. You know what I'm saying. Listen, I am a daddy too. We all have daddies, and we all have dads.
No, I'm just saying. My women. I'm just saying. Creepy as fuck.
I am saying.
That shit is creepy, B.
My daughter has a dad, and that is me. I don't need her to be looking to this 49-year-old as her daddy to pay all her bills and to take care of everything. I understand that.
No,
and
you don't.
Fine. No, I do understand.
You don't talk like that.
No, I do understand that. I'm just saying, my daughter, I want to have a partner.
The family you make is more important than the family you leave. That ain't K. It is written that way, bruh. It is husband. It is God, husband, wife, child. Ain't nowhere in there is mother, father, cousin, friend. Like, yo. You do your job and then let that person go. That's it. You prepare them and then they're off. This attachment that's my girl forever. Fuck out of here.
You never let your your daughter go. That is your daughter for your life, and that is your little girl for life. However old she is, and as long as a father is alive and he is her father, he's going to take care of her.
Of course, you are her father, but that shit you're saying is not bedded in reality. It's not done in reality.
It's my reality, and that is. You asked me the question. You asked me the question. What do I want? And I'm answering you.
It's one reality.
Are you telling me my answer is wrong?
Yeah.
No, my answer cannot be wrong.
Yeah.
My answer cannot be wrong. My answer is wrong.
It.
No, like I said, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you and I want for our daughters, right? Our daughters are going to marry the 49-year-old or the 29-year-old, and I could tell you more times or not. They're most likely a good woman. Here's my point. A good woman and a real woman will most likely marry the 29-year-old.
That's fucked up.
A girl, a lazy, entitled girl is more likely to marry the 49-year-old.
That is so fucking ignorant. Huh?
It's not ignorant. You know why I'm saying that, and you know why.
Because some young girl hurt you, nigga. That's why the fuck you saying it.
Doc, I need you to weigh in on this. No, because Doc knows what I'm talking about.
Before Doc weighs in, all you did, you just essentially took a broad brush and just painted.
I said most likely.
Just painted.
I said most likely.
This notion that because this woman is with this older guy,
right?
Like that it's most likely because it's like transactional.
They are entitled transactional girls.
I disagree. I think
most young girls that you see, not all, most young girls that you see,
I disagree,
are with older men for their money.
I disagree.
Most young girls, not all, most of them are with older men for their money.
You are pulling this opinion out of your ass.
I don't know if you're not seeing what's going on today in the younger generation.
There is nothing to suggest that
you don't see what's going on these dating sites and all these young girls who's looking for older men. They are literally on these sites saying they are looking for old school, older gentlemen. They say that to pay all their bills. This is what they are looking for them for. They don't go out with 29-year-olds, right? Because most 29-year-olds don't have the money of a 50-something-year-old man. They are literally saying, yo, Kay, you see this, bro? They're literally saying they're not dating guys their age. Why? Duh. We know why. So clearly it's transactional, and that's okay. It is what it is.
All right.
It is what it is.
You and I will agree to disagree.
No, you agree with me.
I do not.
No, you do agree with me.
I promise you.
No, I promise you that you do.
I do not agree with you.
Yeah, because we've spoken about this.
That crazy ass rambling.
Nah, I ain't no crazy rambling. I know exactly.
Yeah, it is rambling because I think and who knew that I would be the fucking romantic, right?
I'm not romantic.
My logical ass, right?
Well,
but I believe. Mm-hmm. That there are just lots of those relationships that are built on the fact that these people want and choose to be together. Now,
you're a provider and you're a protector.
Please, mm-hmm. I can put my business out there.
No. But I
there's
would. Many men that are provider and protectors.
But I would.
That's a good thing, bro.
But I would say that more than one thing can be true. Mm-hmm. That. Even though, right, it's baked in that he is better off, say financially, probability is that he's better off in life financially. But it doesn't remove the fact that the relationship that they have is built off of all of the other elements that people in love and relationships and all those other things are there. He's of a certain age. He's acquired. He's done some of the right things. He's acquired some things in his life. Okay. He's earned that.
Okay.
It shouldn't be that that his lifestyle is automatically a beacon for some money grabbing, hungry ass whore, as opposed to just why can't she be attracted to him, right? And do some of those things, and are there women like that? Of course, there are predatory people in everything.
Of course.
But because you're all fucked up in your relationships, you gravitate right to that. Mm-hmm. Nobody even talking about that. Mm-hmm. The brother that sent the letter in, he ain't talking about that. Mm-hmm. Kay ain't talking about that.
Because I speak about the truth and what's really going on. No. This has nothing to do with me. This is about many situations that I see that's going on.
This is about you ain't fuck at him.
You know many girls I've spoken to that have literally. And by the way, I'm not saying that this is not coming from me. This is coming from
the young girls that you holler at. The young girls that you hollering at.
That literally told me.
Yeah.
Not even just all of them, but I mean, not even just all the girls. Women too. Girls. What did I say?
Were you doing research?
No. What did I say? What did I say? Age? No. I said age has nothing to do with that. I don't care about age.
Come on, man.
I said that earlier.
Right.
I said I don't care about age as long as at the end of the day that man, whatever age he is treating my daughter with respect and love. Okay, he doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to be rich
in this segment.
Yeah, he doesn't need to be rich.
In this segment.
Wait, Doc, can you weigh in on real quick?
He's talking some bullshit, bro.
Doc, I need you to weigh in and just give our viewers your opinion on this, because Kay and I see things completely different. I see it the right way. He sees it the wrong way. What do you say, Doc?
Well, as the dad of the group,
okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, we need your perspective.
2 daughters. I actually stay out of their business.
Good. Okay.
When they come to me and say they have an issue, then I step in. But outside of that, their relationship is their relationship.
Right.
I don't weigh in either way.
All right, Doc, I'm going to press you. Based off of what we said, based off what I was saying, you're a father. Like you said, 2 men, both pining for your daughter's attention. You, as a father, want what's best for your daughter, leaving the home, going out, creating a life for herself.
Absolutely.
Based off of what I said, and she say 27, ideally, is the probability of her life being better with a 27-year-old, a 29-year-old, or a 49-year-old?
And it depends on what you think is better, Doc.
See, here we go.
No, I know. It depends on what Doc thinks is better.
He heard what we just said.
Right.
He heard what I said.
Right.
Go ahead, Doc. What do you think?
Yeah, Doc is going to give his opinion. That's all.
I would say
we got Doc's thinking. For those of us that are not, Doc, it's a podcast, man.
Like,
maybe we're gonna think that they're
2-minute pause, right?
Right. And it's just your opinion, and
yeah, I would lean towards. Yeah, I would think that the older person having more experienced life, probably doing a little better in their career, is probably more suited to help her along the way if she needed it.
Right. And that's, so whether it be financial, whether it be counsel, whether it be, there's a multitude of different things.
I mean, it's a coin toss, but all things being equal, the older person.
Right.
And so I'm talking
strictly from a dad standpoint, where you want what's best for your daughter. It's
Right.
all probability. Nothing's guaranteed.
Right.
Can you let me ask you guys a question. Why are you guys assuming that this 49-year-old is doing quote unquote better than the 20-year? I'm just asking.
Okay, let me. Okay, again, it's all conjecture, but ideally, based off of what I said, one is, say they went to college. One probably has student debt versus one that probably has no student debt because they've worked longer and lived longer. They've gone past that. Essentially, in the workspace, you've had more time to work and ascend up the org chart versus someone of a younger age earlier in their career. Like these are things, no, we don't know for certain, but we're pulling out some probable things just based off of the way that people live. That's why we're assuming. We're all of this shit's assumptions. We don't know anyone, right? So we're just assuming, right? Okay, ideally, we take the most idealistic way, not you going right for it. Oh, this is fucked up. And
I wish he was a little more specific in details in terms of when he wrote in this question to us, so I would get a little more conjecture in terms of what these two men were
first
about.
Of all, he didn't say that. He didn't say that.
I know. I'm saying. I mean,
But it never came up for him.
Right.
This is
I know. I just wish I got more detail on
this-
these two. On these, you know.
There were no two people.
Okay.
He said he's 53. She's 26.
Okay.
He said that their relationship is great.
Okay.
But he's noticed that people have this visceral reaction
Okay.
to it just based off their age.
Right.
And he realizes and is acknowledging that there's this rhetoric around it, right? That all of a sudden it has to be transactional. Whereas he said, why is it not based off of love? Why is it not just based off preference?
Well, because all relationships, it's the biggest business in the world. Marriage is the biggest business in the world. So of course it's transactional.
But that's not what. But that's not.
I'm just.
But that's not the point, though. You're saying all of these things, and he's talking about a very specific relationship where there's this age gap. That in particular.
No, but I thought he asked why do people see it as transactional? I thought
the age part. You're saying that marriage overall is
it's the biggest business.
Right,
in the
but
world,
that's
right?
so you're saying that people are viewing his. So it's not age gap,
Right?
It's
When
because
women, when people,
so it's not age gap. You're saying that they're viewing it transactional because there's
because of the age gap. When the average person sees an older man with a younger woman, and when younger women are thinking about dating older men, their first thought is, "Oh, he can take care of me." That's the automatic. And when they what I mean by take care of me, they paying their bills, so they can have the decision to just stay home, not to work, be lazy, be entitled,
That's fucked
be or whatever. That's what their initial thought is, right? Before you can even ask a girl out, there are some girls that are just saying, "Well, you need to pay this bill before we even go out." I'm just saying.
Let me ask you something, Jay.
Yeah.
If a woman's goal in life is to be a housewife and a mom, is she lazy?
That's not a woman for me. I will answer this.
Please answer the question.
I'm going to answer the question. She has no ambition.
So you think she's not?
She has no ambition,
and she's lazy. Shiftless, all those things.
She has no ambition.
Wow.
I'm going to leave it. My answer to your question is that woman, if that's her goals, I would say she has no ambition. That's my personal opinion on it.
Well, let me say I vehemently disagree.
I hear you.
I think that there is a lot of work and there's something admirable about being a wife, a good wife, a stay-at-home mom, looking after our children, as opposed to having some sort of babysitter or nanny or having my young child in the system. I would much rather have one of us rearing our child. And I don't look at her as not being ambitious. I think that
there's nothing wrong with.
I think that's devastating. Like, I
And
mean,
here's
that's a gut punch, man.
It's not a gut, but here's the thing.
Hold on, bro.
There's nothing wrong with not having any ambition.
No, okay.
There's nothing wrong with not.
I'm
It
done
just
with
is
this.
what it is.
I'm done.
Because guess what? If I say
bro.
I want to
I'm
stay
done.
home and take care of the kids, and she goes out and work, guess what they're gonna call me? A bum.
I'm done. I can't with you. I've tried. Folks, I've tried with you.
Okay? If I say
Yeah.
I want to stay home and stay care of the children, what are they gonna call me?
Okay, man.
Thank you. They're gonna call me lazy and they're gonna call me a bum.
Yeah,
Okay?
I'm not-
And just
I'm not
because I
calling-
say
I'm not
women
calling that woman- I'm
who
not
their
calling the
ambition is
woman
to
that.
be a stay-at-home wife, that's fine. Do what you want to do. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that you don't have any ambition.
But I love how, when I say I love, mean I don't love, but I love how you try to, as you often do, try to manipulate the meaning of words.
It's not manipulating. What word am I manipulating?
You try to say the fact that she doesn't have any ambition.
She doesn't have any ambition.
Isn't a bad thing.
It isn't a bad thing. It is
Okay.
what it is.
Okay. Since when does not someone who's unambitious not a bad thing? It's always used in a negative connotation. And
I don't see it as negative.
All
I'm
right,
just saying,
okay.
if you don't have any ambition, you don't have
You
any
don't
ambition.
have any ambition. That's great. You get employed.
So how about, is this better for you? Is this better for you?
You get
Any
employed the
ambition
most.
for anything more with your life? How about that? Is that better for you?
Listen,
If your ambition is
you
simply to be
feel-
a stay-at-home wife,
bro, you feel
that-
how you feel, man.
I mean, right. I'm just
I
not saying it's a
disagree
bad
with
thing.
that.
You just don't have enough ambition for me.
Right. So what if, so in the workplace, you've got discussions with subordinates, people down the org chart, and you talk to them about their developmental plans. You have people who want to ascend up the food chain, if you will, supervisors that want to be managers, managers that want to be directors, directors, senior directors, and so forth and so on. Then you have folks who do not want to ascend. They like the job that they're in. They don't want to go anywhere, right? You still have developmental conversations about their career with the person who has no desire to be promoted, to take on more responsibility. You do not look at those people as being unambitious. You're still developing them. You can still be the greatest at what you are and work at that and develop that. That stay-at-home mom, that wife, is that. And I think you're wrong for viewing them as not having ambition and not doing more or being the best that they can be, or however word salad or whatever word salad you use. And I think that's wrong. I think that you can be that and be an amazing mom. No matter where you are, you can be better at that, better at rearing children, better at supporting your household, better at supporting your husband. That shit matters, because I know when I'm out working, fighting a good fight, coming home, there is nothing better to come home to a place where there is love and you're received by a damn good woman, man, who keeps things held down. I would never look at her as being less than, or she's not ambitious, or I'm more than. And I'm the one who doesn't subscribe to that 50-50 shit, right? Like you do. But I would never look at her that way. She plays an incredibly important role, a role that I would absolutely gladly provide and do my part to ensure that part is. You want to talk about a partnership? My dude, the problem with you at times is you view partnership as the rent is $4,000 a month. I put in two and then she puts in two. You equate those partnerships to a commerce, always to a dollar amount.
Oh, no, not at all.
I equate that to other things beyond that. I can do that. A peaceful home, protect my peace. A steady place, an environment that's nurturing and growing. Babe, y'all hit me up. I'm here for all of that. Not Uck and Jay. And I wouldn't give a shit if the distance or the gap between the aggregate between our age is 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I don't care. What I care about are good, healthy relationships, period. And I'm telling you, if I'm with her and we go to her family's home during the holiday, and I walk over there and I'm inside of there and I'm sitting on the couch looking at the football game, sitting next to her dad, who's probably close to my age or a few years younger, you know what he's saying? He ain't gonna be sitting there and saying, hey, you know what? Tyrone was only 2 years older than her. He's gonna look over at me and say, hey, you know what? Thanks for taking care of my baby girl. I appreciate you, brother, for what you did. I look at her, I see her, she's healthy, she's good, she's a good woman. You kept her that way, you treat her with respect, you love on her. That's what I want. That's what I wanted for her. And I wouldn't give a shit if it was in a box that was 29 years old or 49 years old. I wanted the circumstances. And you provided that and done.
Well, that's what I like. That's what you
Now
said
wrap
about
us up,
29 and 49. No, I ain't done yet. Like I said 29 and 49 and stuff like that, because you are, and a lot of men, you're looking for a servant. That's what it is.
No, I'm not.
Now, there's nothing wrong. You made a point that there's nothing wrong that a woman who's working can be a great mother too. I'm not saying that a stay-at-home mom can't be a great mom. That's great.
She's not ambitious.
I said she's not ambitious enough for me.
Sounds like the
okay,
same thing. Yeah,
right
okay.
now,
So
and
she's
I'm
not
not saying
ambitious.
that she can't be a great mom. Of course she can, but so can that mom. Like my mom and a lot of other moms I know that went out into the workforce. Now remember, it's 2025 right now. We're having a conversation in 2025. We're not having a conversation in 1930, okay? So right now, I need the mother of my daughter to show her the way in 2025. Like, I want my daughter to see that she can be anything that she wants to be, not just a stay-at-home mom. I want my my mom. I want my wife to show my daughter that she can go out and she can be that attorney, doctor, advertising exec, whatever she wants to be. I need the mother of my daughter to show her examples of where I want my daughter to be in life, and not just a stay-at-home mom. Again, for all the viewers out there, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with me. No, I'm not. I'm just saying that I want the mother of my child to be more ambitious than that in 2025. It's not 1930. You don't need to depend on your man to do all of this and pay all the bills and stuff like that. Handle your own business. You have to be mature. You have to be adult. You know, a lot of these girls today, and I call them girls, not women. A lot of you women out there are women, and I know you're doing these things that I'm saying. But the girls out there today, they're sitting back and waiting on the man to protect, provide, pay all the bills, do all of this, so they can just be lazy and entitled and stay at home, and they pass it off. They pass it off as saying that I'm looking for a provider and a protector. That's just another way of just saying that I just want to be lazy and stay at home and not pay any bills. That's what it is.
Jay,
I mean, I'm just saying that. No, I'm going back to, I need her to show more ambition to my daughter in 2025. It's a different day, bro. It's a different day. That's what I'm saying. I need the mother of my daughter to show and set examples.
Right. Like, so since the beginning of time, it has always been about, right? Like, so
this is 2025 now. Let's not go back to the beginning of time. We don't have all that time. Let's stay in 2025.
Even in 2025.
Okay.
Man, there are women.
You don't have very stay-at-home moms in 2025. You don't have many of them anymore. You had tons of them back then.
Right. And look how, and we've got more people on medication, more people in therapy, more of these kids who are coming out fucked up, inside out. So yeah, you're right there. This is 2025,
right?
And the two parents aren't at home. They're latchkey kids, right? So yeah,
so that's the reason why. Right. That's why you think the reason is because they're both working.
It contributes.
They've been having mental problems from way back.
Right. Okay.
That's been around since the beginning of time.
It certainly contributes, right? So we're growing up. They're growing up different, and I think we're still seeing a lot of young folks being the first in their family to go to school, to go to college. Didn't matter that they didn't have to see their mother, their father, who may have been one stay-at-home or a blue-collar worker. One doesn't necessarily derive the next way. It's like, so this idea that your daughter should see the mother doing blank, so therefore she knows that. Like, listen, our generations before us didn't necessarily do that. Shit, we went to college, we came out okay, right? Mm-hmm. And so you want to say, oh, well, I want to go back to the 1930s. Well, it wasn't that long ago. We ain't that fucking old. Mm-hmm. And two, it still happens today. I think you can still pour into your children and provide that. But with that being said, we've gone way off.
We're
going way off topic.
Listen, at the end of the day, like we said, we can at least agree that whatever our daughters want at the end of the day, that's what they want. You and I have no bearing on who our daughters choose, whatever age range they choose, whatever kind of person. We have no bearing. We have no decision. I guess we were just discussing on what we want. You and I want different things, different types of men for our daughters, and that's fine. We can agree to disagree. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just different. But at the end of the day, it's left up to the girls, and they're going to decide who they want to go out with. That's where we got to leave it, ladies and gentlemen. It's been fun on another great episode of the J&K Show. It's been fun. We're going to have more hot topics next week. Great questions like that. And there's some more arguments between K, J, and Doc is going to weigh in again with his rational outputs and opinions because he's the only one who makes sense on this podcast. But anyway, until then, I am your co-host, J. Rob. I got my man, K, in the house right there. We'll be back next week for more fun and hot topic debates on the J&K Show. Until then, peace, love, we out, y'all. Thanks for watching the J&K Show.